PlayStation 5 news.
Woo!
A little bit more. We're getting more and more little tidbits as time goes on. I'm beginning to question whether or not we're going to see this thing at E3 or during E3 week. I don't know if we're actually going to see something.
I think we will. We have to.
They're just
We
talking.
have to.
Well, they're just talking so much about it that I don't know. Like, we know it's coming next year, but it's possible that they wait until next year before they show it off and say it's coming this fall, kind of deal. But they're talking an awful lot about it, and they really have been focusing a lot on the fact that they have an SSD in this console this time, and they've been showing demos of a PS4 Pro loading an area or a game, and then right next to it, the dev kit for PS5, and the dev kit's like sub 1 second,
Yeah.
and PS4's like 9.
Yeah.
Which,
I mean,
whoop-de-doo, Basil.
Yeah.
You're comparing a 5400 RPM fucking hard drive to a SSD.
yeah.
What did you expect? Of course it's fast, and that's going to make people happy regardless, but my God, man. I mean, that's... Of course it is. That's just silly. That's
Yes,
like,
but to the casuals, Adam, they don't know any better. They're just seeing the speed, and they're like, oh, it's so much.
it's like, man, I just took my Toyota Corolla and traded it in for a Porsche fucking GT2.
It's faster.
As it turns out, it's a faster car. Who would have fucking thought?
Duh.
So that's, they've been really pushing that. But it looks like they're trying to track, or they've been talking about doing something similar to Microsoft. So Microsoft's been buying up, as we talked about over the podcast, like the last 9 months or more now, where they've been buying up like smaller studios and stuff to try and bolster their first party development. Because one of the major criticisms of Microsoft,
They got no
they've
exclusives.
got no exclusives
Yeah.
internal. So they went out of the way to start doing that, and it looks like PlayStation, even though they already have a fairly solid lineup of first-party stuff, I think they know that Naughty Dog is running its course. They're only going to get so much at a Naughty Dog now, in terms of the intellectual property from Naughty Dog that people actually give a fuck about as to this point.
Yeah.
So that's
Last of Us.
The Last of Us, thank you. My brain wanted The Walking Dead, same thing. Pretty
damn close.
It's pretty fucking close.
Yeah.
So The Last of Us,
It's a rated R Walking Dead.
they're already done with Uncharted.
Yep.
So, it's not that I don't think anyone's going to think, oh, well, Naughty Dog's never going to produce a good game again. But to Sony, they know that it's whatever the next franchise that they have coming out of Naughty Dog.
Yeah.
It's going to be a gamble, because it's always a gamble, no matter how good the developer is.
Of course.
So they need to find something, and bolster things. So they're looking to make some, what they describe as some acquisitions and some organic growth, to make this happen. So they're looking to do something similar to what Microsoft's doing, which is great, because what that tells you is that for people who are freaking out when we talked about Sony and Microsoft having a partnership for the cloud services, the Azure cloud servers, and other things between the two companies, people were freaking out that all of a sudden they were going to have like no competition between the consoles. Obviously, that's not the case.
No.
They're still going to compete with one another.
Of course.
It's still good for the industry to have that competition, and their philosophies for the gaming consoles are so wildly fucking different that it's not like that's just going to evaporate in one day.
No.
So that's good. It means that Sony's still out there trying to look out for themselves. And then other than that, it's they're talking a lot about the backwards compatibility aspect of the PlayStation 5. So, in terms of, at the very least, playing PlayStation 4 games, for example.
Yeah.
And they're saying that I think the way they worded it was it's a critical success component or something like that. So they're really focusing hard to make sure that PlayStation 4 games run as good or better on the PS5. Obviously, the load times are going to be better by default, but just in general, run at better resolutions, etc., etc. But then also allow for multiplayer between PS4, PS5 people. Make sure everything's smooth so that people can still play. Like, say, if their friends still only have a PS4 or PS4 Pro and they've moved on to a PS5, they're not leaving their friends in the dust. So things of that nature. So they talked a lot about that and have continued to push that as a narrative.
Now, is that going to be, are they doing that because when they come out with the PS5 games, are they going to be pushing the fact that you can play the PS5 game on the PS4?
Well, that
Because-
I don't know how much they talked about it. It's possible they have, and I just haven't seen it. But I haven't seen them talk a lot about how many games. Like, there's always between console generations. There's always a handful of titles in a period of time that bridge a gap, right? That are on both.
Yeah.
But how long that goes on?
Yeah. Who knows?
Who knows? Like this, because I don't think this PS5 is like an Xbox One X scenario.
Yeah.
Where the Xbox One X is just a really big dick swinging Xbox One.
Yeah.
This is like a new.
It's a new console.
So, new architecture inside, the whole 9 yards. So, I don't think it's going to be like the Xbox One X, which means that it's not going to be like that forever. If the game exists on both PS4 and and it's playable on the PS5, it's only because of backwards compatibility. I don't think we're going to forever have games coming out for PS5.
That's good.
That also come out on the PS4.
Yeah.
Because that would just hamstring the fuck.
Yes.
Like, developers are going to be developing for.
Yes. Yeah.
That's
Both.
too much. That's way too much,
Yeah.
right? So that's great. I mean, and it's nice to see this, but it also is. It almost annoys me a little bit. I guess I'm a little salty about it because we went through kind of almost two generations where we went through almost two generations where backwards compatibility was like everyone was like, no, it's not important. Consumers just don't want the shit.
Yeah.
And Sony was like at the forefront of fuck that. PS3 came out, the PS3 fat for like the first 6 months, and then they stopped that SKU immediately. Yeah, you still got one.
Somebody was selling one here locally for $140. I was highly considering trying to get it for $100
need to
and just
flip
have a
it.
second one. I was just gonna keep it here.
Oh, just in
'Cause
case
if
that
thing
one dies.
right?
Yeah,
Because the fats are known to go too, right?
Oh, of course. So when they did that, and then everyone went, oh, excuse me? And so to have them do a 180 and be like, oh, yeah, it's a critical success component for our business. I'm just like, you know why it's a critical success component? Because Microsoft's doing the shit.
Yep.
That's why it's a critical success
Microsoft
component.
wasn't doing it.
You ain't doing that
You ain't touching
at
it.
all. You don't give a fuck.
Zero fucks given. Buy
So-
the PS4 if you want to play PS4.
Yeah.
Oh well.
You guys have phones, don't you? You guys have PS4s, don't you? So that's all. That's most of what we heard about from the PlayStation 5 news. We are what, 3 weeks away from E3 now.
We're getting close.
So it's approaching, and
We're
I
getting
suspect
close.
we're going to be getting some bombs. At least I hope we're getting some bombs, because if they're talking this much about it now, I'm trying to figure out what they're going to drop. Maybe they're going to do they announce a price this far out, or do they wait until next year to announce a price?
Could you imagine how dope it would be if they're like, guys, the PS5, it's coming in November?
Yeah.
I'd go.
Well, remember,
Just straight-
remember. I said there, like I said my two options are it either comes out 2020, or Microsoft announced that they're thinking about doing 2020, and PlayStation jumps the gun,
Bro.
and does a 2019.
That would be
release.
nuts, bro. If PlayStation come out, drops their dick on the table and says it's coming out in November.
Well, here's the thing.
Pre-order now. I'd go, I'd be pre-ordering the shit right now, bro. If you would
So here's the thing.
be the killer.
The only thing I can think of right now that would stop that from happening is we already know it's using AMD hardware, right?
Yeah.
And it's using modified Zen 2, I think, and Navi, which is their graphics hardware, modified version of that. The only thing I can think of is that those two things haven't really hit the consumer side yet. Is that they don't have the production to do a pre-run of the consoles, because that hardware at the consumer level is not even out yet.
Yeah.
So it might take the year to ramp that up to get to that point. Otherwise, that shit already exists. That's already here. It just
Yeah.
hasn't hit us. It's going to be hitting us in the summertime.
Well, what? How do you know? There's a chance that Sony might have this worked out with
Jim
AMD.
Carrey. So you're saying
Bro,
there's a chance.
I'm saying there's a chance. Could you imagine, bro? Could you imagine? Because it's not impossible. It's really
No,
not
it's
impossible.
not. It's not impossible. It's improbable.
It's
but
improbable,
it's
but
not
it's not
impossible.
impossible.
No.
So, like, hypothetically speaking,
It could happen.
it could fucking happen. And if it does happen, bro, and Xbox ain't coming out till 2020,
This coffee's cold.
whoo, this shit would be crazy.
Yes.
I would be nuts. Like, just when Xbox is, like, getting their feet on the ground again and, like, people are over, like, the shitstorm that Xbox...
Sony comes in and
Sony
sweeps
comes
the leg.
out and just straight up sucker punches Sony in the teeth. That would be nuts. Nuts.
Yeah. That'd be crazy, dude. And that's what I like.
I shit you not, bro. If they say that shit and they say pre-orders are available right now, for the first time in forever, I'm gonna pre-order a fucking console.
Just for the move. Just for the move.
Just to. I don't even care the price. If they come out to like, yo, it's $7.99 US. I'm pre-ordering.
Fuck it.
Fuck it. I'm pre-ordering. Give me an extra controller.
That's the other thing. We talked about the price of what we thought the price was going to be in the past, right?
Yeah.
And I was thinking with the SSD, I'm thinking in like NVMe terms, but they're obviously going to be using like a 2.5-inch SSD, which is way cheaper, especially on their end than consumer end. But there have been a lot of articles saying that they can't make the same mistake that they did with the PS3, where the PS3 came out like $100 more than the Xbox was.
It was rough.
And it was a rough go for them.
Yeah, it was rough.
Now, I think a lot of that was just because people didn't appreciate the value of the Blu-ray player being in the console. If that came out after people had a bit more of an understanding,
And Blu-ray back then was expensive.
Well, it was brand new.
To buy
basically.
a Blu-ray player, it was a couple $100.
Yeah, it was like $250.
Even on a shitty, like we're talking a shitty Blu-ray player, it takes like 40 seconds to load a goddamn disc.
Exactly. So to have the best at the time, it was the best Blu-ray player
for years.
Yeah,
not even a short time.
So people didn't quite have that, and so the value proposition was tough for them to push.
Yeah.
And of course, it basically has like a PS2 emulator on chip.
Yes.
Hardware.
Yes.
And so it was expensive. They had to recoup that, and they were still losing money on that when they launched it.
PS3, dude, the value in that console,
there's a substantial amount of value.
It's absolutely that one right there. There is so much value in this damn system. It's ridiculous. If y'all don't have a fat PS3, the 60 gig motherfucker that plays cross compatible stuff, find one. Just have it. Just have it at your house.
Sell it later and give your child a free education.
Straight up, dude. Because in like 10 years, man, like so many of them are dead. Like, it's just great. Anyway.
It was confirmed in a stock holding call that it will not be this year. Speculation fucked.
Come on, you just ruined my goddamn fun. Now I don't care about E3.
You never know.
You never know.
They
could be lying.
Hold on to the.
They could be lying, right? Because if they
to
knew that information, insider information, you know, I'd be buying up stocks and motherfucking, you know, I'd be buying up some Sony stocks and be like, let's go.
But we'll see.
We'll see.
We'll see how much we find out when the time comes here in the next few weeks as to how much more new information we're going to get. But yeah, I still think it's likely to be like I still think I'll be mind fucked if that comes out.
It's going to be Christmas 2020
for less than $5.99 US.
Oh, $5.99.
Like people want it to be $3.99 or $4.99.
No. There could be a $4.99 version.
I think
bare bones, like just a console or controller.
Because I think
$4.99 is like it's a shoe in. You know, if people wanted it, $4.99 is getting the for sure sale. $5.99, it's like it really all depends on what Xbox, especially if they're coming out around the same time.
But you price skim like everyone else in fucking history. Like you know that up front it's going to cost you more money because the processes haven't been put in place for you to mass produce it, to keep up with demand. So you increase the price, and then you fucking lower the price of some fucking. You go to Economics 101 and people come out thinking that they're ahead. They're fucking Warren Buffett. When they take the class, but I mean that's basically all it is, right?
Yeah.
And so and that's fine because there are always people that want to be first in line. They want to own it. They don't care that they're paying the price premium. They like to have something on day one.
It's like me.
Exactly.
I want that shit. I don't care about the goddamn. Give me I want it at my house. I want to take the picture, put it on Instagram.
Yes.
And I want the world to know I got the new motherfucking Sony.
Exactly.
That's it.
That's all you need.
And you know what? A lot of gamers fall in that category. Straight up. More than what people think.
Oh yeah. Oh,
Like
well,
people,
it's a ton.
dude, tons of people buy the PS a new console and they can't afford it. Literally, they're like, fuck, rent's due,
Dude,
I
Nintendo-
can't afford it, but I'm gonna go and buy this motherfucker. The credit card, I need to call up and get an increase on this credit card right now because I need that shit in my life.
Did we forget what happened with the Wii U, or the Wii, I should say, and then the Switch?
Yes.
Where like they couldn't keep up with demand ever, and it would go to eBay, and people were paying 3 times the cost of the console.
Fucking madness, bro. Madness. The Switch was the worst.
People out there like $5.99 will kill the console. No, it won't.
No.
Definitely won't.
No. $5.99 it'll be fine at $5.99. $4.99 would be like.
Oh, they won't
deal.
actually be able to keep up with it.
Yeah.
They'll sell out in like 24 hours, which sometimes they like to do because then it makes it look like, the demand is so huge, and so, it's obviously a successful console. But we'll see what happens.